And welcome back to Saturday with Celeste. And our guest today is Maria Dismondy, author of Spaghetti in a Hot Dog Bun. Hi, Maria.
Hi, Celeste.
How are you?
Great, thank you.
I am so excited to have you here today. I loved your book, and I'm curious. I mean, as reading the book, I see how the title fits. But is that really you? Did you have those interesting tastes as a child?
I sure did, and I still do. My mom would make spaghetti in a hot dog bun for us, and it came about because she didn't have enough money for bread that week, and we didn't have lunch meat, so she just created this concoction. And my sister and I were teased in school for our crazy meals. We had liverwurst and olive loaf and herring, pickled herring. And we still do to this day. I eat barbecue sauce on my salad, and it's great.
So it developed out of your mother's creativity, trying to come up with things to feed her children that weren't too costly?
Yep.
But you actually enjoyed these creations?
Yeah, and I still do today.
And, well, the book starts off with ketchup on toast. Is that one of your favorites as well?
It sure is.
Well, mother's imagination, creativity, and you enjoyed it. You still have fun with it, and now it's the title of your book.
Mm-hmm.
And so beyond the title, it talks about the different tastes you had. Well, I guess we want to make something clear here. It's based on you, the book, but not totally based on you. You call it realistic fiction. Explain that.
Yes. So it is a work of fiction, so parts of it are true. Obviously, the main character is not named Maria. Her name is Lucy. And realistic fiction is something that can really happen, so you don't have fantasy involved. So parts of it are true, but I had to embellish to make it a good story for children. It's been a while since I was in elementary school, so I don't remember everything to the detail of what happened. So I had to embellish quite a bit to make it fun.
Well, but it is based on something that did happen to you.
Yes.
And the character, Lucy, well, she likes all these unique foods. She does get made fun of at school.
Yep, and she has really big hair, big and curly hair, and that was something that I was teased for as well, my big, wild, curly hair. And she wears different colored socks, and that's who I am to this day. I went to work the other day and noticed at the end of the day my shirt was on backwards, and I just kept wearing it on backwards because that's who I am. So,
and you are a teacher.
I am a teacher. I've been in education almost 10 years, and that's actually what inspired me to write the book.
And what grade level are you currently teaching?
Right now I'm a reading specialist. So I go in grades kindergarten through third grade, and I support young readers. But I've been in the classroom for 10 years as a teacher, and it was very disheartening to see what children today are going through. And so I was inspired to share my story, and I continue to be inspired and motivated to really get out there and give this message to children.
Well, I think that's fantastic because I know that there is such a need right now that as a counselor, many times I have parents coming to me because their child is a victim, sometimes because their child is a bully, most of the time because they're a victim. So I am aware of the need as well. And can you tell a little bit about the storyline that what does Lucy do? And Lucy's getting made fun of.
Yes. Lucy is in elementary school, and she loves life. She colors with crayons on the school bus. She laughs till her belly aches in the lunchroom. So she's just enjoying life, going through her day, and there's a little boy who teases her for her big hair. He calls her a poodle. He throws dog bones at her, which really happened when I was younger. And he writes mean letters. What else does he do? He teases her in front of other people, so he puts her down with verbal abuse. And she tries many different things to stop it, many strategies that you see schools teaching children today, to walk away, to play with your other friends, to play in areas where a bully can't approach you. She also tries to speak to him and to use her words and to ask him to stop. And none of these things are working. Lucy makes a mistake in the book, and that's something that I did on purpose, that I wrote on purpose because I want children to really learn from the book. Her father, her grandfather, who she lives with and who raises her, tries to help. And he says, what's going on at school? He can tell something's going on. And she doesn't speak up.
Yes, I noticed that.
And so that is the teaching point. When I read the book in big groups or in small groups with children, I say, what did Lucy do that was not right? What was her mistake? And so she didn't tell an adult. And it goes on to say, you know, she thought about telling the teacher, but she didn't because she was afraid of being a tattletale. And that's exactly what happens in schools. Children don't tell because they're afraid of, you know, how that's going to look.
Yes.
So finally, in the end of the story, Ralph, who is the other character, the bully, Ralph is in danger. He's stuck at the top of the monkey bars. And everyone goes in from recess because people don't want to help him. They know how he is. He's hurt others' feelings. And so everyone walks away.
The bully. Everybody walks away.
Mm-hmm. And Lucy stands up and decides that she's going to help him. Regardless of how he treated her, she was going to treat him how she wanted to be treated. So she helps him down from the monkey bars. And the story goes on. He never officially apologizes. So this is another teaching tactic. You want children to infer what the meaning is behind that. He hands her a picture of a dinosaur that's smiling. And it says, to Lucy. And so you want children to infer, what does that mean? You know, it's his way of saying he's sorry. And so that's how the story goes. And the next day at school, Lucy decides to have her favorite sandwich, spaghetti and a hot dog bun. So she didn't change who she was. She continued to be herself in spite of the teasing.
And so then after she helps Ralph, then is there no more teasing?
Well, the story ends with the apology note. And yes, that's what you are led to believe, that the teasing has stopped.
Because she offered kindness. He saw her in a different way, and he stopped teasing.
And the truth of the matter is, children who bully are human beings, and they are confused on how to treat others. And typically, they're reacting and acting out because they don't have the self-esteem and they don't have the friends. And so to teach them how to be a friend, you know, it can really turn things around.
Yes. They don't have social skills, good social skills typically. And part of their way of interacting is to bully. At least they have some connection then with other children, even if it's a negative.
Absolutely.
Now, is that part of the story true? Did you really help someone out as a child?
No, I didn't. I'm sure I did along the way. I might just not remember it. But I had actually, I'd gotten stuck at the top of the monkey bars before.
Oh, okay. So that's you.
Really that happened to me. And it was really scary. And it was at a neighbor's house, and I was yelling for help, and my neighbors were eating dinner, and they finally came out 20 minutes later, and I was hanging upside down. So that just came from my life.
Okay. But a pretty typical thing that happens to children.
Yes, they climb up, and they're afraid to go down.
So certainly something that children can connect with.
Absolutely, yes.
And now in the book, you have the grandfather as being very key in Lucy's life. Was that true for your life as well?
Yes. My grandparents, my Polish grandparents, Busha and Jaja, they watched my sister and I after school every day. So, and they listened. You know, we would come home from school and they'd have a snack for us, and we'd sit around and talk about our day, and they were a big part of my life. And so I chose to have Papa Gino as, you know, her caregiver, because you don't see moms and dads. You don't see the typical household all the time anymore. And I think it's good for children to see that there's different, you know, types of situations. So you have to infer what's going on. Where are her parents, and why is her grandfather raising her? So I just wanted I wanted some diversity in the book.
Well, and for you, that you went to your grandparents' house every day after school, did they instill values in you that carried over into the book and how you live your life?
Yeah. Yeah, they both did. They had a loving relationship, and especially my grandmother, my Busha, she gave with 150%, constantly giving, and that's how my mom is. So we kind of have that family trait where you would rather give than receive, and, we'll stay up late making a project for someone because that means more to us than anything else. That's how my mom is, my grandmother, and that's how I've become. So
that desire to serve.
Yep.
And to be available to others.
Yeah.
And then grandfather has some wisdom in the book that... Can you share that wisdom that he passes on to Lucy?
Yeah, he tells her at the beginning of the story, remember what's always important, that everyone has a heart and we have feelings. And so she remembers that in the story, standing before Ralph, that this person has a heart with feelings. He's a human being. And Papa Gino says to her at the end, you have a lot of courage. You decided to treat others the way you wanted to be treated.
Yes.
And that's
yes.
Very powerful.
Very powerful. And the message from the Bible to love one another as we love ourselves. That we are commanded to live that way, to love one another as we love ourselves. We're going to take a moment here. We're going to hear some information about Christian life coaching. And then we're going to come back and we're going to talk with Maria Dismondy about a little more about her book, and now in another book that she has coming out. And then we're going to talk about, too, as well, what is going on that is effective in conquering this issue of bullying. Frustration and discouragement fill you as you think about your own life journey. You know that you are not using all your gifts. You are aware that your creativity has been blocked for quite a while. You even understand that you are holding yourself back, but you do not know why. I am Celeste Subensky, Christian life coach, and I want to help you unleash your full potential, follow your purpose, and accomplish your mission possible. I want to be your personal life coach.
Call Celeste Subensky today, your personal Christian life coach, for your one-on-one appointment. Call 734-454-0155. That's 734-454-0155. Celeste Subensky, your personal Christian life coach.
And welcome back to Saturday with Celeste. And I am here with my guest, Maria Dismondy, author of Spaghetti in a Hot Dog Bun. And you were just sharing the values that your grandparents instilled in you about seeing people they have a heart too, they have feelings, that the biblical truth of treating others the way that you would want to be treated, and how that has carried over for you as a teacher and then incorporating into this book. And you also, one of the things that I thought was a key in the book, in the back, you have a page that says, you are out of this world special. And then you give 10 key things for kids to remember. Do you remember what those are, or do you want me to read them?
You can read them.
I can read them. If you want to comment on any of them, let me know. And 1 is be proud. 2, love yourself. 3, have courage. 4, practice giving. 5, make each day count. 6, celebrate differences. 7, spread kindness. 8, share a smile. 9, forgive. And 10, never give up. And I think that's a wonderful list for kids to place somewhere, to keep it up front in their mind and look at these daily or as often as they can and remind themselves about what is going to help them to be successful and feel good about themselves. And so what was your thought in putting that in there at the end of the book?
Well, I always encourage teachers, because that's my largest audience, is elementary age students, to use the back of the book for lessons. So children can write and they can create projects about those 10 keys. So for example, celebrating differences. Children can create self-portraits of themselves and talk about, what makes them alike and what makes them different. Because as you know, we're all very different in this world. As,
Yes,
you know,
we are.
everything's changing. And then you can also go back in the book and see how Lucy, the character, lives her life using these different messages, sharing a smile and forgiveness. You know, at the end of the story, she didn't have to do what she did, but she did. And she was able to forgive and forget. And I don't want to jump into the next portion, but in the next book, Lucy and Ralph reappear, and they are friends. So,
okay. So to be continued.
To be continued, yeah. So you can see how these things carry out.
And yes, I do want to talk about the next book. I just want to mention here that I find picture books to be just as powerful for adults as they are for children. And many times I recommend certain picture books to adults that are struggling with certain issues because it cuts through a lot of the psychobabble and just gets to the core, because most of our woundedness comes from earlier in life. And the picture books are a simple way of being open, honest, and direct. And I just think this could be a great gift for someone that you may know as an adult who may be in a situation where they feel like a victim and they need to have the courage to be who they are.
Yeah.
That it works for adults as well as children.
Yeah, and I like to share the story that I was in a school a couple weeks ago, and there were about 400 children there, and this little girl raised her hand and said, "Why is your voice so squeaky?" And I said, "Well, sweetheart, that's just who I am." And it happens over and over again. We're faced with that every day. Well, you know, why are you this way, and why are you that way? And
Why aren't you like me?
Exactly. And the truth of the matter is, we are who we are, and feel good about that. Why not?
Embrace it.
Embrace it.
Who
Yes.
else can you be but who the Lord made you to be?
Mm-hmm.
So now there's a new book in the works.
Yes, to be continued. I was at a conference, the Early Learning Prevention Conference, and Bob Sorensen approached me. He runs the conference. He's a big speaker around the United States on early prevention for children. And he said, "I've never written a children's book, but I love your concept of bullying. Let's keep it going. Will you write with me?" And I said, "Sure, let's do it." And so we're in the process of creating illustrations now. Kimberly Shaw Peterson, illustrator of Spaghetti and a Hot Dog Bun, is going to be our next illustrator as well. So she is illustrating. It'll take her probably 2 months. And you will see the new book. We don't have a title yet, but you will see the new book out this fall, July, August.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Well, I will be excited to get a copy of that when it does come out.
Yeah, and the message, so the new book, the message is empowering the bystander. So when you have a situation that involves bullying, you have a victim, a bystander, which is everyone who is watching the situation, and you have the bully. And bystanders make up the largest population in schools.
Right.
So instead of focusing on the victims and the bullies, we're going to the heart of it where, you know, the majority of people watching are bystanders, and really encouraging them to stand up and to do something about what's going on.
So giving them the framework to understand that if they are witnessing anything like this, to speak up, and who do they go to?
Yes, that it's their job to speak up.
Okay. That's very powerful.
It is. You know, CNN is on in our house every morning, and, you know, I'm a positive person, and you don't get a whole lot of positivity out of CNN. And you hear about the bullying constantly, over and over again. And you see these serious situations in high school, but it starts young. It starts in elementary school. So Bob and I, if we can reach as many young children as we can and empower them at a young age, I'd love to see those decreasing numbers in these victim situations.
Well, one of the things that struck me in the research that I took a look at is that it usually starts in elementary, but once a child becomes a victim, they're labeled that victim, it often continues throughout their school history.
And their life.
And their life, yes. Yes.
They continue to feel like a victim in any situation. And you might see that in the work that you do with adults.
Definitely. That it started long ago and it's still continuing. So you're targeting elementary. right now.
Yep, right now. And what I like about Bob is he's already talking about books 3, 4, and 5. And
He has a vision.
He has a great vision, and he's very motivated, which is awesome. But eventually, we'd like to target all different ages up through high school.
Which is needed. Mm-hmm. That whatever all the reasons, this issue seems to keep going under the radar. As much as it hits the national news about a tragedy, it's there for a day or two, it disappears, and it's still going on day after day in the schools.
Yes, and I do feel with the research I've done, I do believe schools are taking it more seriously, and they're instilling different programs for anti-bullying within their schools, but it needs to be consistent. And not only having programs at your school, but they've got to educate the families too.
Right. So what would you want to say to any parent that is listening right now? What kind of key things do they need to be aware of, or how can they take action if they believe or even know for sure that their child is in a situation like this? What would you want to say to them?
Yeah, I think for parents, first to really be in tune with your child and talk to them about school. And most children, when they come home from school and mom, dad say, "How was school?" they'll say, "Fine," and walk away. Really ask them some questions. Instead of, "How was your day at school?" ask questions. What did you do? Specifics. And get in tune with what is going on at school. Develop a sense of trust with your child so that they can trust they can come to you and you will listen without judgment. Oftentimes parents will blame their child for the situation and say, "Well, what did you do? Well, why was so-and-so calling you names? What is it that you did?" So instead of blaming, really just listen to your child. And if something is going on, immediately contact the school, the principal and the teacher, and sit down with your child, with the administrator, and talk about the situation. You want to get the facts. And as a parent, our emotions will definitely play into it. So you might be emotionally involved in the situation. You might not have the facts because you're so wound up about what's happening with your child. So getting the facts and going to the school and letting them know you are your child's advocate and this must stop.
Now, on occasion, a school does not respond. So what is a parent supposed to do if they're not getting that response from the school?
Well, and they should do this anyways, even if they do get a response from the school, but you want to teach your child at home. What would they do in that situation? So, of course, some parents will say to fight back, but that is a no-no. It does not solve the problem.
It's not going to make it better.
It is not going to make it better. So you want to teach your child to play with friends that make them feel good, to play in large groups. So on the playground, if they really like the swings and they're far off by themselves, bullies go to desolate areas, and that's where they attack their victims. So you want to remind your child if, people are being mean to you, that you want to play with really good people and you want to be in large open areas, maybe play by adults, and talk to them about using their words, what can they say, and really helping them develop their sense of self-esteem. Because with a high self-esteem, if someone is teasing you and calling you names, most of the time those children can look the other way and move on and be okay.
And helping them develop a good circle of close friends for them.
Yeah, and one of the things that I see as a teacher that parents don't do is inviting friends from school over for a play date. It doesn't have to be fancy. It doesn't have to be, out to the movie theater. Just inviting some of your child's friends over after school to play outside. As simple as that, so that your child has a chance to really develop friendships.
Because one of the things that I'm aware of is that a child who is more isolated, who doesn't have those close friends, they tend to become more of a target.
Absolutely, yeah. Yeah, so it's real simple to invite friends over, and children are busy at school these days. They don't have a lot of time to socialize, believe it or not. Lunch is about 15 minutes. Recess is another 20, 30 minutes. So they need that time outside of school.
And also getting to know other parents. Parents connecting with parents. And if you don't get the results from administration, then join with other parents and begin to go forward to the administration with other parents. Be persistent.
Absolutely, yeah. Yep. And parent groups are pretty strong in the schools today. The PTOs, the PTAs, they have a large voice. So if you can become involved in that sense,
that makes a difference. And as you are going on book tours, that now you've been in several different places talking about your book already.
I have. I've been to bookstores. I've been to coffee shops, elementary schools. I've also done some middle, and I've gone all the way up to 8th grade presenting with the book. And I've been to different groups, a women's group. So it has a lot of, it has a big message, and so I've been able to really tour in different lights.
So what kind of response are you getting from your audiences when you do present?
Well, especially at the schools, the teachers are thrilled that someone has written a book with this concept. If you were to go on Amazon and Google bullying, not a lot of good literature comes up. And so the teachers are very thankful. The parents have emailed me stories about when they were bullied as a kid. I mean, adults, grown adults, emailing me saying, "Thank you so much for this book. You know, this happened to me when I was young, and the book really brought it to surface and reminds me of how hard it was being a kid, helps me relate to my child even that much more." So a lot of positive responses from the book. And the children are adorable. You know, the schools oftentimes offer spaghetti and a hot dog bun the day I come.
Oh my gosh, how cool is that?
So there's about 600 kids eating spaghetti and a hot dog bun. And the kids love it. I was walking around one school. One kid had ranch dressing on top of his. Another one had a slice of cheese. So, you know, for them, the kids want to share with me what makes them unique. So when I have one-on-one time, to ask questions, they say, you know, this is what's so great about what I do, and I'm a really good soccer player, and, you know, just being able to share their uniqueness.
And yes, the subtitle, Having the Courage to Be Who You Are, that it does identify for whoever reads it the importance of believing in who the Lord made you to be and having the courage to step out and be that person no matter what the circumstances.
Instead of your could've, would've, should've, or always trying to be better.
Yes.
Just being present with who you are and loving that person.
And then loving everyone else.
For who they are.
Yes. The more you can accept who you are, then it creates that acceptance of others and their differences. And I know the importance of recognizing that the bully has a heart and has feelings too. But I also just want to leave the message with parents who are listening, or someone who, there's adults in situations where they're being bullied at work, where that can happen, that sometimes people are not like-minded. They do have intention to be mean and to create destruction. And so learning how to recognize, that's part of building your self-esteem and growing as a person, and helping your children too, to recognize sometimes you can extend that olive branch and they'll just take it and hit you with it. And having enough wisdom to know, okay, time to walk away from that one.
Yeah. And, you know, there are different types of bullying, so they're not always easy to recognize.
Yes.
And I don't know if I have time to touch on that.
Well, yes, go ahead a little bit, because it's important.
Yeah, oftentimes we see physical bullying, where children are being pushed or shoved, or, you know, hands are involved. And then the most common type of bullying is called verbal abuse. And that one leaves the biggest scar. Then there's also, which is very common now, and it's so sad, is cyberbullying.
Yes.
The text messaging, the instant messages, the emails. So that is a big type of bullying in the upper elementary, middle, high schools. Then there's also a type of bullying that is really hard to recognize, and children don't actually realize they're being bullies. It's called relational. And it's when a child spreads rumors about others, or they might try to control the friend by saying, I'm not going to be your friend if you don't jump rope with me today. That's a type of bullying. Taking
Yes, it
choices
is.
away from others and putting ultimatums on it.
Mm-hmm.
And so when I talk about the different types of bullying, you see some of the children, you see their eyes light up like, aha, I didn't know that was not right. And the last is called reactive, and that is when someone who is a victim and they've been bullied for so long, they turn around and start teasing others and bullying.
Yes.
So there's different types. So for parents out there, now they know there's different types to recognize and to look for. And your child's not always going to be the victim. Your child might also be the one teasing. So to think about that too.
And I also understand that with teenage girls, that relationship bullying can often be very subtle. But whether it comes through Facebook or texting, but sending out rumors that aren't true and then having that person totally trashed. They go to school the next day and everybody is treating them differently.
And that's hard to recover from. And especially if those teens are on their own and they have no one to turn to. If they don't feel they can trust a parent or they don't feel they can go to an adult and ask for help, that's where you're starting to see depression, anxiety, and suicide in young children.
Yes.
Because they feel as if there's no way out. And how horrible for someone to feel that way at such a young age.
Well, yes, it's tragic.
And so that's where my inspiration comes from. I want to make a difference.
And I believe you are making a difference already. And when this came out, this is fairly new?
2 years.
It's been
ago.
2 years.
Mhm.
Okay. So it's been around for a while, but it is making an impact, making a difference. And if someone wanted to be in touch with you or get a hold of your book, how would they go about that?
Well, it's sold at local Borders and Barnes & Noble's booksellers. It's sold on Amazon. And if you want a signed copy, you can go to www.mariadismondy.com. And you can get a signed copy on my website.
Okay. So
Yeah.
just your name. Spell your last name so listeners...
Maria, DISMONDY.com. And if schools or churches or any other groups are interested in having me come speak, they can also contact me through my website about having me come to speak to small or large groups.
Okay. That's great to know, and it was great to have you here, Maria. I
Thank
thank
you.
for coming here on your Saturday and spending time with me and talking about this very significant topic right now. And I'd love to see the new book, so when it comes out, be in touch with me.
I sure will. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for being here. We're going to hear a message from Dr. Greer Chiropractic care for your family, and then we will be back to the program.
A healthy body and mind is a top concern for your family. That's why you understand that chiropractic care plays an important role in keeping our bodies performing at a peak level, and it does it naturally from within. When our bodies are performing at a peak level, it keeps your children on the playground and helps mom and dad keep up. Greer Chiropractic is an individualized care center in Plymouth that concentrates on individual and family-specific issues, and they can provide your family an affordable plan in these tough times. Traditional and modern techniques is what we specialize in, as well as extremely affordable spinal decompression. Dr. Greer would like to warmly invite you and your family to stop by and begin to align your lifestyle with the healthy, natural lifestyles of Greer Chiropractic. Right now, many of our chiropractic patients don't have chiropractic health coverage, and we work with them to make sure they can get affordable care. Let's get healthy and stay healthy for many years to come. Call Greer Chiropractic at 734-451-9700. That's 734-451-9700. Greer Chiropractic. Affordable care is here.
The latest national authors interviewed live.
Saturdays with Celeste.
Stories from the mouth of the people who have overcome adversity to achieve their mission possible.
Saturdays with Celeste.
Marriage talk from a Christian perspective.
Saturdays with Celeste.
It has it all, and it is right here on Saturday at 1 p.m.
Saturdays with Celeste.
Every Saturday at 1 p.m. with Saturdays with Celeste. We'll be talking to you then right here on WMUZ 103.5, The Light.
Saturdays with Celeste.
And welcome back to Saturday with Celeste. And we do have a few minutes now to take phone calls from anyone who might want to call in about being bullied themselves, situation with their child, something significant that they may want to share about bullying. And you can call 313-838-1035, and that's 313-838-1035, and sharing your experience about being bullied or perhaps an experience with one of your children. And just remembering that importance, being aware and taking action. If you are in a situation where you even believe someone is being bullied, don't hem and haw and hem and haw. Go forward.
MUZ Detroit. Buy an HD radio and experience amazing, crystal clear digital sound.